Care for the Family is a national charity. I'm the UK director, and as a charity, we seek to strengthen family life in the UK and to help those who are hurting because of family difficulty. And we work in three areas: marriage and couple relationships, parenting, and bereavement. And we aim to be like it used to be the auntie down the street. So someone maybe has a baby that's crying all night, or a teenager that's driving them crazy, or a couple have just had the row of the century. And we want to be like the auntie down the street that you could go and visit and have some much needed wisdom and advice. So at Care for the Family, we have had so many parents asking us for help as to how to navigate the digital age. They felt like rabbits in the headlights, on the back foot, feeling that their children knew more than they did. One mum wrote to us and she said, "Help, it gets harder and harder. I wish the iPhone had never been invented." And so we wanted to help parents to navigate the digital age well. And so that's what led me to write the book, Left to Their Own Devices. So it deals with a wide range of topics, but it gives some really practical help for parents. So the book talks about all the different dangers that there are, talks about the challenge of time on screens, it talks about issues of the selfie culture, bullying, pornography, a lot of the things that parents are concerned about. It's research-based, but values-based as well. And it's got, every chapter has got some what parents can do. So some really practical things that parents can put into practice from the word go, whether their children are tiny or whether they are teenagers, whether it's a little one that's having a tantrum now known as an iPaddy because screen time is over, or whether it's a 15-year-old and they feel that their phone needs to be surgically removed from their hand and the earphones from their ears. There's help for any parent or grandparent or schools worker, just lots of wisdom that I really think will help us navigate this area well. Parents have got so many concerns in the digital age. I think that way back we did a little survey at Care for the Family asking parents what were the things that really concern them. And I think, somewhat to my surprise, top of the list was time on screens, just the sheer amount of time that young people are spent in front of glowing screens, often late at night, and the angst that that was causing in the home. Gaming as well played a big part in that. And I think just understanding that these games are made by big companies and designed by psychologists who know that it's always going to be more exciting to just get up to the next level in the game than to come and do your homework or eat your tea or whatever else parents are trying to help them with. Time on screens is affecting sleep. There's an issue about obesity. We can't put it all down to time on screens, but there's lots and lots of issues. And the thing about internet addiction as well. Many parents really concerned about that and wondering, when does excessive teenage use, which is quite a lot, when does that just flip into something that we need to be really concerned about, that is an addiction? So we look at those issues, and also I think parents are concerned about contact. Who is it that their children are speaking to and getting to know online? Through gaming these days, it's a community thing, and many children just not aware that people aren't always who they are made out to be. And then there's how they behave online. We call that conduct. So the issue of bullying, the selfie culture, the huge pressure that children are under to have an image online that is perfect, and they see their friends have got these perfect images, and then they try and live up to that, and then a gap develops between the reality of life, what they see in the mirror, and then what they see online, and trying to maintain that is putting huge pressure on them. And the mental health, mental well-being stats are really sobering, and this is boys as well. It's not just girls, it's boys as well. The whole thing about sexting, sending sexually explicit pictures online, again, that's very common. A boy might ask a girl to send a topless image just in order to ask her out, and she might ask him to reciprocate. And that's all kind of accepted in many young people's communities. So the whole idea of how they behave online, that's big. And then I think the third one would be content. Is what is it that they're seeing online? So there's lots of violent content, so beheadings and all that kind of terrible stuff, as well as pornography. And pornography is rife. The average age of children coming across porn is 11 years old, and often they're not looking for it. They've just stumbled across it because the right protections aren't in place, and they're being fed a lie that sex is about performance, but it's not about commitment or trust or intimacy, the good thing that God created it to be. And so there are many issues that I think as parents we are concerned about in relation to the digital age. There's so many practical things that parents can do. I think parents can be encouraged that they actually are in the best place to influence their children. There's libraryfuls of research that tell us that actually children want to know about these issues from us, their parents, despite evidence to the contrary in the teenage years. They really do. And so there's so much parents can do. Firstly, when our children are little, we put dangerous things out of reach. So we put the bleach on a high shelf, we put sharp knives out of reach. And in the same way, we want to be putting protections in place on their computers, on tablets, on their phones. So filters, parental controls, teaching them about privacy settings, passwords, all those kinds of things, using technology to protect our children. And one really good idea is to have something called a family media agreement. And what that is that it's basically just getting around the table with your family. Even the little ones, even the most stroppy teenager will join in if they feel they've got some skin in the game, if they feel they're going to be listened to. And you just talk together and agree the ground rules for technology in the home. And the rub is that everyone signs up to this, even the parents. And it can be anything. You can talk about where and when you use technology. Do you use it at meal times? Are you allowed phones in bedrooms? Lots of parents now are getting those big charging points and putting them downstairs, so everybody charges their phones downstairs at night. Can talk about who pays, what they do if they find something scary. If you've got a range of age of children, then you'll want different things for 6-year-olds than you would for 16-year-olds. But then worth thinking about consequences as well when they step across the line. And some parents have 3 columns. They think about, yes, you can, ask us first, don't even think about it. But it's a very simple thing. You don't actually have to write it down and stick it on the fridge if you don't want to. For many parents, it's just talking about it that is the key. And I think encouraging our children to realise that this is for their benefit. This isn't just trying to limit their freedom. This isn't a straitjacket. It's actually a seatbelt to keep them safe. And I think that's if you're going to do one thing, I would think the family media agreement is a really practical thing that can make a big difference in the home. So the overall message to parents is that whilst we must put every boundary in place that we can, we're their parents. Boundaries are for our children's security. It's not really so much about discipline, but about security. Whilst we must do that, actually the day is going to come when they will be in a school playground and another child will have a phone and that won't have any protections on it. They'll be in someone else's house that has different values than our family. And so the overall message is we have to teach our children to manage these things themselves, to make good decisions when we're not there at their shoulder. And this is about equipping them to have wisdom, to be wise, to make wise choices in a world where any choice is possible, not just about making their world smaller, but giving them that self-confidence to be able to say no, to be able to put those good boundaries in place themselves. in short, to give them wisdom and what we often say as care for the family, to teach them to learn to discern.